Hello and welcome to my video. Today we're going to go through and do some rebinding on this book that I've had since I was a kid. It was my favorite book growing up. It's definitely seen some better days. So I've gone ahead and measured the outside of the book, both length and width, and here you can see me just measuring that out onto a thick piece of cardboard. And like magic, it's been cut, and I'm going to file the edges to clean them up so that when I bind the book, we don't have any bumps or lumps on the side. I'm going to do a style of binding called Belgian secret binding. There are some really good tutorials on YouTube if you are interested in doing this kind of binding. I will link them in the description box if you are interested, the ones that I found helpful. But right here what I'm doing is just measuring out where I want to place the holes for my stitching for the outside binding of the book. And I've gone ahead and punched the holes for those and cleaned them up as I punch them with a nail file, and I'm going to do the same for the other side. And I wanted to give you a little tip. My awl just broke, so instead of using that, I actually found a really small cheap set of screwdrivers at my dollar store, and they work perfect. So like I said, as I poke those holes, I go ahead and sand them down and then re-poke them to make sure there's no debris stuck in the holes. And I'm just going to wrap the whole thing with paper just to give it the exterior a really clean, uniform, nice look. And it'll also make painting it easier. Ooh, magic. And they're covered up. Bam. Just like that. So I've gone ahead and put the inside inserts in, and what I'm doing here is taping the pieces together while allowing for the room the cover will take up when the book is open, because that's going to make your spine a little bit wider. So I went ahead and got some tape, and I'm just taping those up, and as you can see, each time I tape something down, I pick it up so it looks like it's in the closed position before I place the center. That way the allowance for space is correct. And I'm just going through and poking those holes again so that my needle will have no problem going through. I actually put a little bit too much tape on here, so I do have to cut it down. You'll see that right there. Cutting it down a little bit. And the trick to this kind of binding that I found is to keep all of your stitches on the inside so that when the book is closed, you have these really cute, really pretty little minimal stitches on the outside. Another little tip is a lot of times they'll do 2 or 3 passes on the weaving. I find 3 works the best for me. It makes me feel like it's a little bit more secure, and it also helps me hide those stitches so we don't have any crossbars on the outside. Another little tip for binding in general, if you're having a hard time getting the right length of thread for your binding, if you take the thread and measure top to bottom of your book at least 3 or 4 times, you'll usually get the right amount, if not have excess. For this, I measured 3 times and I ended up having more than enough thread by the end of it. And like that, the binding is done. So now we're going to do some insert pages for the book itself, just so the covers are a little bit more protected and a little bit cleaner on the inside. Make sure that has a really good bond because you don't want those coming up. That'll be bad news bears. And I'm actually not going to trim it. I'm not going to trim it yet. I'm going to let there be a lot of excess on each side of the signature so that when I actually insert the book, I can get the right size for the pages because I want them to be the same size as the cover. So I'm going to leave excess so I can trim those later. And as you've just seen, I've gone ahead and painted the book brown because I want to stay pretty true to the original cover. I wanted to add a little accent here too. I thought it would be nice if the binding strings were actually the pink that is going to make up the scribble marks later on, so that they are a little accented and they don't just fall away into the background. Here I am with the pink, adding that in, and if you can see with a discerning eye, I'm sure you'll notice I've done some overpainting, but that's not to worry. That's nothing a little bit more brown paint won't cover up and make it look nice. So don't worry if you overpaint. You can always cover it up later with your background color. I'm really excited to actually be binding this because I've been thinking about doing it for a really long time. Because like I said, this was my favorite book and my grandma would read it to me all the time when I was a kid. I remember we got it at a school book sale and I was only like 3 or 4. It's been something that I've really loved reading since I was little. It's very nostalgic now. It definitely needed some more love. I was not a gentle child. Well, I'll stop talking for a little while and let you just enjoy some nice music and watch me paint these stripes. In painting these stripes, I wanted them to be the same color as the stripes on the original cover, as again an homage to that, so that that's not lost and that fun little design element is retained. But I also wanted to make sure that it was kind of random, just like a little kid scribbling on a book with a crayon. So when I was doing the white lines, I was a little hesitant. As I went along, I felt more confident. I just had fun with it and just went with what looked the most goofy, and I'm really happy with it. So after I finish the outside of the cover, I'm going to flip it over and do the inside. And just like that, it's done! Magic of editing. There it is. And Now we're going to take that to the side, and my signature is nice and dried, so I'm going to place that inside the book and measure the outside cover size so that I can trim the paper to the right size. Just going to make sure that it fits everything together before I glue everything. And I slowed this clip down to real-time speed because I wanted you to see how slow I'm going with the glue, because this is really important. If you put too much glue on there or you spread it around too fast, you can get the glue on the outside of the papers where it actually touches the outside of the binding, so when you open the book it could rip your paper. So when I was doing this, I made sure to only put it on the spine, and I let it dry just a little bit to get tacky. And I added a good amount to the actual spine of the book so I could press it in place, clamp it in there so that everything is nice and secure, and then I just let that dry. And all that mess needs to go away. And there we go. That's the finished book, nice and cleaned up. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a special video for me to make, and I'm really happy with the results. It's really fun to play with and read now that it's actually put together correctly, and I don't have to worry about it falling apart, which is always great for keepsakes. So thanks for watching. If you liked my video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm doing a good job. And if you'd like to see more of my content, make sure to subscribe. Thank you. I'll see you later.